Hi, my name is Juliet. I'm going to be ordained as a rabbi in just a few months, which is very exciting for me. And behind me, you can see this beautiful painting of a rabbi. It's called The Rabbi, I believe. So here I am, the rabbi, changing things up a little bit. I'm not an old man with a white beard. But there are a lot of us now, at least in the United States, but not everywhere in the world. So today I want to talk about a simcha. I want to talk about Simchas Torah, the simcha of my ordination, but Simchas Torah and Vezot HaBracha, which is the last parsha of the Torah. I remember how confused I was when I first learned that the Jewish New Year does not mark the beginning of a new Torah cycle. In fact, the preparation for the new year and the ending of the old seem to blend into each other like a watercolor painting. You can't see the edges of objects clearly, or concentric circles that overlap in so many places. All the talk of transformation that we are supposed to experience during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur starts with Elul, which is a whole lunar month before Rosh Hashanah. And then comes Yom Kippur, and suddenly, yes, that's how it feels, really suddenly, we're in the week of Sukkot. We're overwhelmed by what feels like a barrage of holidays. It feels that way every single year. And it's not until the end of Sukkot, marked by 2 days of communal prayer, Shemini Atzeret and Simchas Torah, that we read the last parsha of the Torah and also the first, Genesis, in the same day. Torah ends with blessings in the form of a poem given over by Moses to the Israelites as they're about to cross over into the promised land. And finally, with Moses' death. Joshua, who's now been handed the mantle, will be their new leader. Yet, what will his leadership bring? It's unknown. It's a combination of sadness, joy, and uncertainty. And isn't it a little bit ironic that we read about Moses' death, our beloved leader, on a day when we joyfully dance into the night, twirling and stomping and jumping with the Torah scroll, a holiday literally named the Joy of Torah? It's also true that Moses has been preparing to die for a very long time. How many times has he announced that he will not be allowed to cross over the Jordan into the promised land? How many times has he repeated the teachings from God to the Israelites as he prepares them for their new life across the river, like a nervous parent who can't let go? How many times has he said that he will die soon? I wonder if Moses is afraid to die, afraid to leave all this undone stuff to someone else, and this annoying, stiff-necked people he has led for so many decades, but that he's learned to love, behind. Because even if Moses, unlike the Israelites, has complete faith at this point, he's still going into the unknown. And maybe that's how life always goes. Maybe whether we're the one leaving, or like Moses, or entering like Joshua, we're excited about a new path that we've been pursuing for many years. The moment arrives and we're stepping into the unknown. No matter how much preparation we've had, we still wonder, do I know this stuff? Am I fully prepared? I've been thinking a lot lately about my own rabbinic ordination, an occasion of simcha, of joy, of great joy, and the fact that I will be officially stepping into a new role in my life in just a few months. What am I stepping into? How much more do I need to learn? Especially me coming from the background that I come from. You can read about it on my website, lenegditamid.us, LNEGDITAMID. There's my little pitch, .us. You can read about my journey of coming from a completely atheist Jewish home, culturally Jewish, never having been to synagogue as a child. Starting at age 53, starting rabbinical school at age 53. I mean, I have so much to learn. I will never match up to those rabbis like that one, who've been studying their whole lives. How much time the question I ask myself, one of the questions is, how much time do I have to develop this role? And whom am I meant to serve? Where are the people that I'm going to serve? I have a few, but I don't have a community yet. So I cried about this to a friend the other day, and she said, you have your whole life to do this. And I replied, no, not my whole life. I'm already 60. To which she replied, you have the whole rest of your life. To which I replied, yes, and I don't know how long that will be. It could be decades. It could be a year. It could be a month. It could even be a day. The fact is, we never know, even when we start out younger. I was talking to someone else today, one of the people that I work with that I lead in spiritual direction. You can learn about that on my website also. I might just be your spiritual director. You never know. I might be the one that you need to talk to about your own spiritual journey. Whether you are an atheist or not, whether you're Jewish or not, it doesn't matter. We all have these questions about life and death and what we're supposed to be doing. So I was talking to one of my directees the other day who shared her anxiety about her parents' impending deaths, and they're not about to die. They're late 70s, early 80s, and they're in good health, but they don't want to deal with their house. How common is that, right? We don't want to get rid of our stuff. We don't want to go through our stuff. It's very hard to deal with the fact that we're going to be dying someday, even if it's far off, even if it might seem far off. And yet we start preparing for our deaths in a way like Moses, we're kind of preparing our whole lives, or we should have that consciousness. And so her parents regularly joke about the proximity of the cemetery where they will be buried, which is right down the hill. And they say, when we die, all you'll have to do is roll us down the hill. Ha, 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 ha. But then they become angry, threatening to leave the room when she has tried to talk about death in a serious way. And instead, they like to give the example of the previous owners of their house whose family got a dumpster and literally threw everything out the windows into this container. And what she said was, they act like it will be simple to bury them, but they're leaving an entire house full of stuff. It's not only thoughtless, it's wasteful and ecologically irresponsible. When I asked if they might be afraid of dying, even though they are deeply religious, she considered this for a moment. As much as her mother jokes about coming back and to give her lots of signs and that she's going to watch over her, which was more like, I'm going to watch over you, I wondered how deep their faith was at the core. What did they really think would happen after they died? Maybe nothing? Maybe they would completely cease to exist. A lot of us have that fear. And if they knew for sure that they would be back to visit, wouldn't it be easier to face leaving if they really had that faith? When someone moves away, don't we promise we'll come visit just to lighten the blow, even if we know in our heart that we never will? Just as hard, we don't know how long we have. We constantly gauge decisions based on expected time limits. During Sukkot, we are commanded to eat and sleep in a sukkah, a precarious structure that remembers the days in the desert, when we could see the sky at night through our temporary roofs. It's a joyful time of awareness that we have solid structures to live in now, that we are free, mixed with sadness of the memory of hard times. Though those living with housing insecurity today would disagree. They're not celebrating at all. They're living the precarious present in a very real way. It's also interesting that a Yizkor service, when we remember those who have gone before us, is worked into the end of Sukkot, this joyful time. And we immediately, after the sadness of Yizkor, of remembrance, we immediately enter into the new Torah cycle with Simchas Torah, with a great sense of joy and celebration. Joy and sadness mixed together in all of these examples that I've given. And in a Yizkor service, we recite Psalm 90 with the phrase, Limnot Yameinu Kein Hoda V'Navi Lavev Chochma. It's a little complicated to translate it. I think the grammar is really bad. That's my guess. Because it has these short phrases that are kind of strung in this ungrammatical way together, as far as I can tell. But basically it says, teach us to count our days so that we know like a prophet, or to know like a prophet who has a heart of wisdom. Basically, we should measure our days and be smart about how we use our time. We ask for a heart of wisdom, one that knows how to treasure the present, because unlike a prophet, we cannot see to the end of our days. We need these reminders because it's hard to let go. As the Torah and Moses show us, the past mixes with the present and the future. It goes in cycles like concentric circles, blending into and overlapping with each other. The new is not always or only joyful. Sometimes we actually dread the new. And the end is not always or only sad. Sometimes we can't wait for it. The end is not only the end, and the beginning is not only the beginning. And we are each at the center, barely knowing where we are, and certainly not knowing where we're going. I'm leading a baby naming this Sunday for a baby born right in the middle of the cycle of holidays, when the past and the future, the sadness and the joy all mix together, reminding us of the continuous cycle of life and death and love that never ends. This beautiful baby has come into a very precarious world of many unknowns for the future, but the fact that her family will be gathered around to support her on her journey, carrying with them a heritage of deep faith and culture, is significant. This is the grounding we all seek, whether we have faith or not. And I put faith in quotes, like, what does that mean, right? My blessing for today is that she, this baby, and we all acquire a heart of wisdom to understand how to appreciate and make the most of our numbered days, and to know in what ways we can serve to ensure a joyful future for all on earth. And may we deepen our faith that we can handle this unknown just as our ancestors did. I'll see you next week. Simchas Torah, so Chag Sameach. It's still Sukkot, so Chag Sameach. And good Shabbos. That's tomorrow. Okay. See you soon. And go to my website, the Rabbi. Thanks. Bye.